All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning. I'm Anuja Kumar and with me is Sarabjit Kaur. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi chairs high-level meeting on Ukraine crisis. Reviews ongoing efforts under Operation Ganga to bring back Indians stranded in Ukraine. Center to send 4 cabinet ministers to neighboring countries of Ukraine to coordinate evacuation efforts. 3 flights under Operation Ganga to bring home more than 600 Indians stranded in Ukraine this morning. Russia and Ukraine hold high-level talks along Belarusian border to resolve the crisis. Ukrainian president signs formal request to join the European Union. Fifa and Uefa suspend Russia from all competitions until further notice. Campaigning for 6th phase of assembly elections ends today in Uttar Pradesh. More than 84% voter turnout recorded in first phase of assembly elections in Manipur. International Women's Day week begins today to highlight achievements in the field of gender equality and women's empowerment. And Mahashivratri being celebrated across the country today. With the new Omicron variant of coronavirus causing concern, we appeal to our listeners to be vigilant and get fully vaccinated and also help others, including children between 15 and 18 years to get vaccinated. Please continue to follow these 3 simple steps to stay safe. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact national helpline numbers 011-2397-8046 and 1075. As our nation celebrates the 75th year of independence, a series of events are being organized by the government as part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. To commemorate the occasion as a Jan Utsav, All India Radio News brings its listeners a special quiz on India's freedom movement and its glorious history. The quiz is being conducted every Monday and Tuesday in the morning news since 16th of August last year and will continue till 15th August this year. India Post has joined hands as the logistics partner with All India Radio News for the Amrit Mahotsav quiz. Recalling our yesterday's question, name the freedom fighter who led salt satyagrah in Uttarakhand. Popularly known as Gadkesri, he was instrumental in eliminating the Coolie Begar system in Garhwal. The correct answer is Anusuya Prasad Bahuguna. In order to unite the British Garhwal against the empire, he successfully motivated the people of Garhwal to fight against social malpractices like Coolie Uttar, Coolie Begar and Bardayash in the upper Garhwal region. Coolie Begar referred to forced labor without any payment. In the 1930 salt satyagrah started by Mahatma Gandhi, Anusuya Prasad Bahuguna led the movement in Uttarakhand. On account of this, he was charged by the British authorities under Section 144 of the Indian Penal Code and imprisoned for 4 months. EIR News got an overwhelming response from its listeners across the world, and the one lucky winner of the quiz is Inchara V from KHB Colony in Chitradurg, Karnataka.
I like to listen the English news in radio because to improve my English language, and I also learn more information about independence and political in AIR News. I like Amrit Quiz Mahotsav, and yesterday I listened it and answer the question.
And coming to our 58th question of the Amrit Mahotsav quiz in English. Name the freedom fighter who, popularly known as Rajarshi, launched successfully the No Tax campaign in the United Province in 1930. I repeat the question. Name the freedom fighter who, popularly known as Rajarshi, launched successfully the No Tax campaign in the United Province in 1930. Listeners can send their responses to the question over WhatsApp on 882-654-6262. I repeat, 882 654-6262 or through email on amritmahotsav@prasarbharati.gov.in. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi chaired a high-level meeting, his second meeting yesterday, to review the ongoing efforts under Operation Ganga to bring back Indians stranded in Ukraine. The Prime Minister said that the entire government machinery is working round the clock to ensure that all Indian nationals there are safe and secure. External Affairs Ministry said Mr. Modi pointed that the visit of 4 senior ministers as his special envoys to various nations will energize the evacuation efforts. He said it is reflective of the priority the government attaches to this matter. The Prime Minister noted that the first consignment of relief supplies to Ukraine to deal with the humanitarian situation on Ukraine's borders would be dispatched today. Guided by India's motto of the world being one family, he also stated that India will help people from neighboring countries and developing countries who are stranded in Ukraine and may seek assistance.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke to his Romanian counterpart Nicole Leon Siaca over phone yesterday. He thanked Mr. Siaca for the assistance provided by Romania in evacuation of Indian citizens from Ukraine over the past few days. Mr. Modi particularly appreciated Romania's gesture in allowing Indian citizens to enter Romania without visas and for permitting special evacuation flights from India. The Prime Minister also informed Mr. Siaca about the deployment of Civil Aviation Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia as a special envoy to oversee the evacuation efforts of Indian citizens over the next few days in coordination with the local authorities. Mr. Modi expressed his anguish at the ongoing violence and humanitarian crisis in Ukraine and reiterated India's consistent appeal for cessation of hostilities and a return to dialogue. Prime Minister Modi also stressed upon the importance of respecting the sovereignty and territorial integrity of nations. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also spoke to Prime Minister of the Slovak Republic, Edvard Heger, over phone yesterday. Mr. Modi thanked Mr. Heger for the assistance provided by the Slovak Republic in evacuation of Indian citizens from Ukraine and for permitting special evacuation flights from India. Mr. Modi requested for Slovak Republic's continued assistance in the next few days as well. The Prime Minister also informed Mr. Heger about the deployment of Law and Justice Minister Kiren Rijiju as a special envoy to oversee the evacuation efforts of Indian citizens.
External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar has said that the 9th Operation Ganga flight departed from Bucharest today for New Delhi with 218 Indian nationals. In a tweet, Dr. Jaishankar said, "We will not rest till our fellow Indians are safe." The 8th Operation Ganga flight left from Budapest for New Delhi with 216 Indian nationals today. Dr. Jaishankar said, "Our endeavour for everyone's safe return continues." Last night, the 7th flight of Operation Ganga started from Bucharest to Mumbai with 182 Indian nationals. The External Affairs Ministry has said the government has taken the decision to send special envoys to 4 neighbouring nations of Ukraine. Briefing media in New Delhi this evening, Ministry spokesperson Arindam Bagchi said Civil Aviation Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia will be going to Romania, Law Minister Kiren Rijiju will go to Slovakia, Housing and Urban Affairs Minister Hardeep Puri will go to Hungary, and MOS for Civil Aviation General V.K. Singh will go to Poland. Mr. Scindia will also oversee the evacuation process in Moldova.
These special envoys will be traveling to these countries basically to coordinate, oversee the evacuation process there on the ground. Situation permitting, you might also find going to as close as possible to where the evacuation is happening. So that will depend on the specific circumstances. But I think you will see them operating there, coordinating all the efforts and, as I mentioned, being in touch with local authorities and as well as other partners that are helping in this process.
Ceasefire talks between Russian and Ukrainian officials ended along the Belarusian border. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's office has demanded the withdrawal of all Russian troops, including from Crimea and Donbass, at peace talks in Belarus. representatives of Russia and Ukraine will return to their respective capitals for further consultations before the second round of talks. The next round of negotiations will be held on the Polish-Belarusian border, reported Sputnik, citing Russia's delegation head Vladimir Medinsky. The talks began earlier in the day at the border town of Gomel between the delegations of the two countries, even as heavy firing continued in cities and suburbs of Ukraine. The talks came to an end around the same time when it was reported Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky had signed an official request for his country's membership to the European Union. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said that he has signed an official request for Ukraine to join the European Union. Zelensky has asked the European Union to allow Ukraine to gain membership immediately under a special procedure as it defends itself from invasion by Russian forces.
United Nations General Assembly held an emergency special session on Ukraine crisis yesterday. It has called for immediate ceasefire and maximum restraint and said diplomacy and dialogue must prevail. In his remarks, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said enough is enough and soldiers need to move back to their barracks. Making an appeal for peace, he said that humanitarian aid is vital but not a solution, and the only solution is through peace.
This escalating violence, which is resulting in civilian deaths, including children, is totally unacceptable. Enough is enough. Soldiers need to move back to their barracks, and leaders need to move to peace. Civilians must be protected. International humanitarian and human rights law must be upheld. The sovereignty, independence, and territorial integrity of Ukraine within its internationally recognized borders must be respected, in line with General Assembly resolutions.
News just in. Under Operation Ganga, 7th flight carrying 182 Indian nationals landed in Mumbai this morning. Union Minister Narendra received them at Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj International Airport. More than 1,400 students have already been evacuated from the war-hit Ukraine under Operation Ganga. FIFA and Uefa have suspended Russian national teams and clubs from all international soccer competitions until further notice. The suspension, which comes after Russia's invasion of Ukraine, will likely leave the Russian team out of the upcoming World Cup in Qatar. The Russian team was due to play Poland in a World Cup qualifying playoff semi-final on 24th of March. FIFA oversees soccer worldwide, while Uefa, one of the 6 continental organizations, governs the sport in Europe.
You're listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi chairs high-level meeting on Ukraine crisis, reviews ongoing efforts under Operation Ganga to bring back Indians stranded in Ukraine. Centre to send 4 cabinet ministers to neighbouring countries of Ukraine to coordinate evacuation efforts. 3 flights under Operation Ganga to bring home more than 600 Indians stranded in Ukraine this morning. Russia and Ukraine hold high-level talks along Belarusian border to resolve the crisis. Ukrainian President signs formal request to join the European Union. FIFA and Uefa suspend Russia from all competitions until further notice. More than 84% voter turnout recorded in the first phase of assembly elections in Manipur. International Women's Day week begins today to highlight achievements in the field of gender equality and women's empowerment, and Mahashivratri being celebrated across the country today. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle @AIR News Alerts.
अपने बिजनेस को बढ़ाने के लिए लीजिए आकाशवाणी का सहयोग और दीजिए उसे बुलंदियों के पंख।
आपका बिजनेस लोकल है या राष्ट्रीय, आकाशवाणी देती है उपभोक्ताओं तक पहुंचने का हर विकल्प।
और अब तो आप घर, दफ्तर या दुकान पर बैठे बैठे कर सकते हैं आकाशवाणी के किसी भी केंद्र के लिए विज्ञापनों की बुकिंग।
आकाशवाणी के विभिन्न चैनलों पर विज्ञापन देना सुलभ और सस्ता।
बुकिंग है तो संपर्क करें 8700014242 पर।
8700014242।
Welcome back to the morning news on All India Radio. The first phase of polling for the Manipur Assembly elections was held yesterday. More than 84% voter turnout was recorded in this phase. The fate of 173 candidates, including 15 females, was at stake as polling took place across 38 constituencies spread across 6 districts. BJP fielded 38 leaders, while 35 were from Congress. Polling officials sealed the electronic voting machines and VVPATs after the conclusion of the voting. The Election Commission has decided to conduct the Manipur Assembly elections in 2 phases on February the 28th and March the 5th. The election results will be announced on March 10. After the successful conduct of the first phase of polling in Manipur, political parties have intensified their campaign for the second phase. In second phase, polling for 22 assembly constituencies will be held in 10 districts of the state on 5th of March. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will address BJP workers in Manipur through video conferencing this afternoon, while Union Home Minister Amit Shah will arrive in Manipur today for a day-long election campaign. Mr. Shah will address an election rally in Thaubal district today. Today is the last day for campaigning for the 6th phase of assembly elections in Uttar Pradesh, which will be held on Thursday. The state is going for polls in 7 phases from 10th of February to 7th of March. All political parties are making last-ditch efforts to garner the support of voters. More from our correspondent.
The political battle of a state has now reached to the Purvanchal region of Uttar Pradesh. Cacophony of campaign will fall silent this evening on the 57 seats of 10 districts of a state where polling is in 6th phase of elections. The districts going to poll in this phase are Ambedkar Nagar, Balrampur, Siddharth Nagar, Basti, Gorakhpur, Maharajganj, Kushinagar, Devariya, Sant Kabir Nagar and Balia. Meanwhile, campaigning has intensified for the last 2 phases of elections in a state. Senior BJP leaders JP Nadda, Rajnath Singh, Yogi Adityanath and Keshav Prasad Maurya will campaign in different districts of Purvanchal region today. Congress General Secretary Priyanka Gandhi Vadra will lead a road show in Maharajganj, while BSP Supremo Mayawati will address a political rally in Mirzapur. Sushil Chandra Tiwari, AIR News, Lucknow.
And now let's listen to our special program, Azadi Ka Safar, highlighting the importance of the day during the freedom struggle.
Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav.
Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News, Birth of a Nation.
India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of the struggle every day.
In today's episode, we remember freedom fighter Vasana Patil, who died on the 1st of March 1989.
Born on 13th November 1917 in Sangli of Maharashtra, Vasant Dada Patil was highly influenced by Sardar Patel and Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. While he believed in the Gandhian philosophy of Satyagraha, he also believed that Satyagraha, morchas or people's movements alone would not fetch freedom. He was also engaged in revolutionary activities.
The British government filed many criminal cases against him and arrested him. Following the individual Satyagraha of Vinoba Bhave, Vasant Dada Patil became a Satyagrahi. After independence, Vasant Dada became Chief Minister of Maharashtra 3 times between 1976 and 1985. We salute the great nationalist.
चल पड़े जिधर दो डगमग में, चल पड़े कोटि पग उसी ओर, पड़ गई जिधर भी एक दृष्टि, गड़ गए कोटि दृग उसी ओर.
We also remember freedom fighter and poet Sohan Lal Dwivedi, who died on the 1st of March 1988. Considered as a national poet, he was deeply influenced by Mahatma Gandhi. Sohan Lal was born on 22nd February 1906 in Fatehpur, Uttar Pradesh. He is known for his patriotic poems, including Yugavatar Gandhi.
जिसके सिर पर निज धरा हाथ, उसके शिर रक्षक कोटि हाथ. जिस पर निज मस्तक झुका दिया, झुक गए उसी पर कोटि माथ। तुम बोल उठे युग बोल उठा, तुम मौन बने युग मौन बना। कुछ कर्म तुम्हारे संचित कर, युग कर्म जगा युग धर्म तना।
युग परिवर्तक युग संस्थापक, युग संचालक हे युगाधार। युग निर्माता युग मूर्ति तुम्हें, युग युग तक युग का नमस्कार। दृढ़ चरण सुदृढ़ कर संपुट से, तुम काल चक्र की चाल रोक। नित महाकाल की छाती पर लिखते करुणा के पुण्य श्लोक। हे युग दृष्टा हे युग सृष्टा, पढ़ते कैसा यह मोक्ष मंत्र। इस राजतंत्र के खंडहर में उगता अभिनव भारत स्वतंत्र।
Dwivedi was honoured by the Government of India in 1970 with Padma Shri. We salute the great India.
We also remember freedom fighter Nihal Singh, who was deported to Andaman Islands for taking part in the First War of Indian Independence in 1857. Initially, a soldier in the Bengal Army of the English East India Company, he left his service and took part in several attacks on British establishments at different places in Bihar and Bengal.
He was caught and charged with mutiny against the British authorities and sentenced to be transported for life with labour and irons. He died in detention in Kalapani on 8th July 1859. We salute the great martyr.
We also remember nationalist Maharani Urai. She participated in the Tebaga movement and was shot dead in the police firing while raiding the Jyotidas granaries in Jalpaiguri, West Bengal. On the 1st of March 1947, we salute the brave daughter of India.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
भारत के स्वतंत्रता संग्राम में अनगिनत स्वतंत्रता सेनानियों ने अपने प्राणों की आहुति दी। कुछ इतिहास में अमर हो गए और कई गुमनाम। आजादी के अमृत महोत्सव के अंतर्गत 75 कड़ियों की श्रृंखला में हम उन वीरांगनाओं की बात करेंगे जिनका योगदान कभी भुलाया नहीं जा सकता। प्रत्येक मंगलवार परिक्रमा में सुनिए अपराजिता, देश की वीरांगनाओं को आकाशवाणी का सादर नमन।
Women and Child Development Ministry will celebrate the International Women's Day week from today as an iconic week as a part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. As a part of the week-long celebration, the ministry will organize various events and social media campaigns covering a variety of themes related to women's safety and empowerment. It will mark an occasion to celebrate the progress made towards achieving gender equity and women's empowerment, but also to critically reflect on accomplishments and strive for a greater momentum towards gender equality.
Moong dal has reported a drop of 3.86% in all India average retail price. As per the official statistics of the Department of Consumer Affairs, the all India average retail price of moong dal, as reported yesterday, is 102 rupees 36 paise per kilogram, which was 106 rupees 47 paise per kilogram on the 28th of February last year. The government has taken several proactive and preemptive measures to augment domestic availability and stabilize prices of essential food commodities. It is because of these measures that the price of moong dal reported a sharp decline. India's export of electronic goods rose by almost 88% from $6,600 million in 2013-14 to $12,400 million in 2021-22. Mobile phones, IT hardware, consumer electronics, industrial electronics and auto electronics are key exporters in this sector. Union Minister Piyush Goyal said government's initiatives are boosting domestic manufacturing of quality and globally competitive products. The National Policy on Electronics 2019 aims to position India as a global hub for electronic system design and manufacturing by encouraging and driving capabilities in the country. India has been seeing consistent growth in exports.
Mahashivratri is being celebrated across the country today. Devotees worship Lord Shiv, the destroyer of evil, on the occasion.
शिव जी बिहान चले पाल की सजा के बाबूती लगा के पाल की सजा के ना.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has conveyed best wishes to people on the auspicious occasion of Mahashivratri. In a tweet, Mr. Modi hoped that Lord Mahadev will bless everyone. Home Minister Amit Shah has greeted countrymen on the auspicious occasion of Mahashivratri. In a tweet, Mr. Shah prayed to Lord Mahadev for the welfare of all and prosperity of the country. In Uttar Pradesh, a large number of people are reaching Kashi Vishwanath Temple in Varanasi to offer prayers. Devotees are also taking holy dip in the river Ganga. In Prayagraj, devotees are taking holy dip at Sangam. In the national capital, temples have been decorated and people started offering prayers since early this morning. Long queues of devotees are being witnessed at most of Lord Shiv temples in Delhi. In Madhya Pradesh, on the occasion of Mahashivratri, Shiv Jyoti Arpanam festival is being organized in Ujjain, the city of Lord Mahakaleshwar. More details from our correspondent.
There is immense enthusiasm among the residents of Ujjain for the festival. Voluntary organizations, sportspersons, students and saints of akhadas are also involved in the campaign. A large number of volunteers have registered for the program. The team of Guinness World Records has also reached Ujjain to record this event. The effort is being made to perform the event in zero-waste format. A 3-day program centered on lectures, dance, music will also be held at Triveni Art Museum, Ujjain. Mahakaleshwar Temple is one of the 12 Jyotirlingam Shirins, which are said to be the most sacred abodes of Lord Shiva. Pooja P. Vardhan, AIR News, Bhopal.
Now let us take a look at the weather forecast for today. Srinagar will have partly cloudy sky with possibility of rain or thunderstorm. Jammu will have mainly clear sky. Leh is likely to have partly cloudy sky. Gilgit will have partly cloudy sky. Muzaffarabad will have generally cloudy sky. National capital Delhi is likely to have mainly clear sky. Temperature will vary between 11 and 27 degrees Celsius. Mumbai will have mainly clear sky. Chennai is likely to have partly cloudy sky. And Kolkata will have partly cloudy sky with possibility of development of thunder lightning.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. While India abstains from second UN vote on Ukraine, the Tribune headline says, UNGA calls for ceasefire as Moscow, Kyiv agree to another round of talks. India sends aid to Ukraine today, 4 ministers to help in evacuation. Modi speaks to his counterparts in Romania, Slovak Republic, writes the Indian Express. Ready to give Aadhaar card to sex workers without insisting on proof of residence and identity, the Hindu quotes UIDAI. The latest IPCC report paints a worrying picture of at least half the world's population vulnerable to human-induced climate crisis, reports the Hindustan Times. And finally, Madhabi Puri Buch, appointed SEBI chairperson, becoming first woman and youngest head of the securities market regulator, headlines the Economic Times.
And before we end the bulletin, a reminder of today's question of the Amrit Mahotsav quiz. Name the freedom fighter who, popularly known as Rajarshi, launched successfully the No Tax campaign in the United Province in 1930. WhatsApp your response on 8265466262 or through email on amritmahotsavquiz@prasarbharati.gov.in. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi chairs high-level meeting on Ukraine crisis, reviews ongoing efforts under Operation Ganga to bring back Indians stranded in Ukraine. Centre to send 4 cabinet ministers to neighbouring countries of Ukraine to coordinate evacuation efforts. 3 flights under Operation Ganga to bring home more than 600 Indians stranded in Ukraine this morning. Russia and Ukraine hold high-level talks along Belarusian border to resolve the crisis. Ukrainian president signs formal request to join the European Union. FIFA and Uefa suspend Russia from all competitions until further notice. More than 84% voter turnout recorded in first phase of assembly elections in Manipur. International Women's Day week begins today to highlight achievements in the field of gender equality and women's empowerment. And Mahashivratri being celebrated across the country today. For details of these stories and more, log on to our website www.newsoneir.gov.in. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.